Good afternoon. Welcome to one more webinar from Telerik India, or we are Progress India now. So today we will be talking, or we will be looking at a very specific topic that very looks like is very popular. We have a lot of people here today in the webinar. It's AngularJS 2.0 and React.js with Kendo UI. So three different frameworks, and then we're going to say or show, basically how we work with these different frameworks, the libraries. So AngularJS and React.js are two most popular, what I can say is like a framework, JavaScript framework out there today. So majority of the people are looking at these two frameworks to build their front ends, use these frameworks to build their web applications. So today we're going to be spending some time looking at how our own framework called as Kendo UI, which is the fantastic HTML5 based client side UI framework that we have. We give you 70 plus widgets or 70 plus controls that we call it in Kendo UI, and we will talk about how to use them in these two frameworks. And that's the whole webinar agenda or focus point of today is. So welcome to this webinar wherever you are joining us today from. Usually we do these webinars from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. India Standard Time, almost like 3 Thursdays in a month. If you want to know more about these webinars, you can always go to telerikhelper.net. That's telerikhelper.net, and that's the website where we keep publishing our schedules, what webinars we have and everything. If you are here for the first time today, you may be wondering who is behind the mic or who is the voice behind the microphone. That's me. That's how I look, and I'm Lohit. I work as a technical evangelist with Telerik in India, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP in Visual Studio Development Technologies. I'm available at Twitter with the handle Kashyapa. Kashyapas.com is my personal blog site where I mostly write on ASP.NET. Telerikhelper.net is the website that myself and then our colleagues, we keep writing here. And telerik.com or progress.com, these are our generic, or these are our, as I call it, as a mothership, or the global website. If you want to know more about Progress, or if you want to know more about Telerik, you can always go to telerik.com and progress.com, and then you will be able to get all the information as to what do we do, what do we have in offerings in terms of the controls, in terms of whatever our softwares are. So that's the brief about me. So let's talk about the agenda for today. I usually keep it very light when it comes to these 1 hour webinars. I don't want to put too many things because in these 1 hour all I can do is kind of take you till the point where I just expose you to what these things are, and then I leave it to you, and then you guys kind of go ahead and then go back, try to look more deep into, okay, what did he talk about, right? So today's webinar is going to be fairly simple. We're going to look at what is Angular 2, we're going to look at what is React, but I will not be doing a deep dive on what is Angular 2.0 or what is React 2.0. We have already done webinars. So if you go to telerikhelper.net and then look for webinars, past webinars, you will find a couple of webinars where we have talked about what is Angular 2, introduction to Angular 2, and then introduction to React. Now, again, what is Kendo UI? I'm going to touch upon briefly on Kendo UI. Again, there is already a webinar which talks about what is Kendo UI. Most probably in the blog post, the recap blog post that I will do for this webinar, I will put links to all these previous webinars that we have done, and then you can go back, take a look at it, and then come back. Then we're going to talk about Kendo UI plus Angular 2, and then Kendo UI plus React. So that's the agenda, fairly simple agenda. So let's talk about now, let's jump into AngularJS 2, or we call it as NG2 as the short form, or most popularly called as. So what is AngularJS 2, right? So AngularJS, or AngularJS version 2 as it's called as, or NG2 as it's called as, basically is a product from Google, and they say it's one framework that you need for mobile and desktop. In fact, I kind of started working on AngularJS 2 once it became a little stable. I think currently they are at RC2, release candidate 2, and I kind of like the way the whole AngularJS 2 framework is coming up. I like the way they have decoupled the UI rendering versus all the other logic. I like the fact that AngularJS 2 is now completely TypeScript. If you've not been programming with TypeScript, I highly suggest you go take a look at TypeScript. It's a fantastic language from Microsoft. It's a superset of JavaScript, and what AngularJS 2 did was it made use of TypeScript. So now you're writing in TypeScript, and of course the TypeScript compiler will be able to compile the TypeScript code into ECMAScript 5 code, which is what the browsers will understand as of now. All in all, AngularJS 2 is a fantastic framework. I've been looking at it. So where do you get started? Well, the simplest way would be to go to angular.io. So this is the website, angular.io. This is the new website. If you go to angularjs.com, that's the old AngularJS, which is 1.x. Whereas for AngularJS 2, you will need to go to angular.io, and in the documentation section, there is this quick start. And in the quick start, they have a section where they walk you through on how to create a folder, how to add a package definition and configuration files, and then how to install the packages. So it is fairly simple. If you follow this instruction, you will be able to get up and started with AngularJS 2. So notice here they have a clear-cut instruction, and then what scripts you should add in the packages.json. And then what do? You create an app, you create your first component file, and you import the component. So basically in this webinar, I'm not going to go into deep, but what I'm showcasing you here is, I as a developer, what did I do? I just did this, went into angular.io, went into the quick start, and then followed these steps, whatever they are given, to the point. And I've been able to create a small Angular application that I'm working on now as a side project. So I'm going to now showcase what I've been able to build so far. So let me go to ng2, and this is my application. I call it as customer service app. So I'm going to open it up with Visual Studio Code. Again, this is a fantastic editor that I just love. Whenever it comes to these kind of JavaScript projects, working with Visual Studio Code is so easy and then awesome. So now I'm going to go to the folder where this project is available, and then go to my command line, and then I'm going to say switch over here, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to say npm start. So what I have done here in this project is followed this quick start, followed all the steps that they have set, and then built my application. So now I'm running this application. So as you can see, what it is doing is it's calling the TypeScript compiler, and then it is having an inbuilt server called as a light server, as they call it. As you can see here, it's starting the light server, and now it opens up a web browser. In my case, it's Edge, and it's going to localhost :3000. And any movement, you should see the yeah, there we go. So this is a simple or a small hobby project that I'm working on using AngularJS 2, and then I love the fact the way I can work so easily with AngularJS 2. No more modules, no more anything. Everything is a component. And what I've done here is I already added a couple of employees. Notice the switch over between the pages. It's doing routing, client-side routing, and it's a very seamless routing, and then you don't see any changes happening in the whole web page. The web page is not getting loaded, but still you see the history being maintained. And what I've done here is I've already added a couple of employees. So I'm going to go ahead and then add a new employee. So I'm going to add myself. Let's say I'm with Progress, title is Evangelist, and maybe the phone number is so and so. Mobile phone again. Then what else I need? I need the email. So I'm going to put my email as lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com, and I'm going to say save, right? And then did I miss something? Is there any? Okay, let's go back. I have a problem, so I'm going to come back to that. So I'm just refreshing. So what you can see here is I've been able to click on a particular employee. Notice here I have all the employee thing. I can actually look at the assigned cases. I'm still working, as you can see here. There's nothing in the assigned cases, and then there's nothing in the open cases. That's because I'm still working on it. But take a look at the details. I can cancel it. I'll go back. I can go to the new employee. I can come back. So I've been able to do everything with AngularJS. So let me show you the code quickly. So where does everything start? There is an index.html, and in the index.html we are using something called as system.js. System.js is responsible for loading everything. So as you can see here, and then notice here I have a custom tag called as my app, and then it just says loading. So what happens in AngularJS 2 is everything is loaded here. So it's called as main.ts, and then it is bringing in an app component. As you can see here, everything is a component based programming now. And in the app component, all I have is, this is why I like Angular 2 now. I'm just importing all the dependencies that I need, and this is a decorator that we create for Angular. And I said on the web page, on the HTML page, look for this selector and then replace that selector with this current template. So what is the template? The template is actually here, the HTML file. And in the app component, all I am doing is I'm just creating route configs. I'm just saying that, hey, in this application there's a route called as cases, there's a route called as customers, there's a route called as employees, there's a route called as knowledge base. And on the left hand side, if you take a look at the tree here, I have folders called as case, customers, employees. So this is why I like Angular 2. It's so neat. I can just keep creating all my components here. So let me show you the customer employee listing that we just did. So here's the employee listing component, and the selector is employee listing, and all I've said is the template is available in so and so place. If I look at the HTML, it's the same HTML, right? So there's nothing different. So only thing that changes is these directives now. Now you have star ngFar, which is a directive which will loop through a particular property and then just generate the whatever markup that you have set. So everything else is pretty similar, and here notice here I have been able to write a service. I'm going and then getting the employees. Once the service has come back to me with the data, I'm just updating a particular property, and that's it. And we do a lot of other things, like when you click on a new employee, go to the different route. When you click on the edit employee, go to the route with an employee ID. And when you click on an employee, delete an employee, and then reload the this one. So in a quick 5 minutes, this is what AngularJS 2 looks like. I'm pretty super excited to work on AngularJS 2 kind of code, because I come from an object-oriented world, and then now AngularJS 2 becomes pretty native for me because it follows the same paradigms, and I'm able to quickly create things, and that's the important thing for me, right? So that's quickly taking a look at AngularJS 2. I highly suggest go take a look at angular.io and then work from there. So that's the demo that we just saw. Now let's talk about React.js, right? So React.js is again, it's a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. That's what Facebook says. So this is from Facebook, and React is nothing but a library for building user interfaces. So they made it very clear. Pretty much everybody follows this concept of MVC architecture, right? So in the front end, and what React says is, I'm the V when it comes to whatever framework that you're following. So that's one of the key benefit or key factors why people are liking React, is because you can take React and then embed that into any project, because React is worried, or React provides you only that UI layer, UI framework, nothing else, right? So you can take React and then put it into your own current, if you are currently building an application with a plain vanilla JavaScript, you will still be able to bring in React there, right? So that's what the benefit they say with React. And if you have to go to React, so where do you go learn more about React? I think it's facebook.io and then slash facebook.github.io/React. So that's the React homepage. You just have to go to this particular website and then get started or download React. So what I've done now here is I've already downloaded React onto my machine, and what React has been able to give me is, so here is React 15.1.0. So I'm going to go to command line here, and let's take a look at running React. So I will start a HTTP server now. So it's going to be running at port 8080. Now I'm going to go here and then open up the examples. So I'm going to open up in Visual Studio Code. As I said, this webinar, we are not going to focus too much on nitty-gritties or internals of how this different frameworks are working. There already have specific webinars that we have already done. So I just want to make sure that I set the context, what is Angular, what is React, and then take it forward from there. So that's why I'm just going through a couple of examples. So React requires, so here is a basic example of React. Let me just zoom in a little bit so that you can see the code. So all it requires is two particular JavaScript, React.js and then React DOM.js. And in React, again, everything is a component. Notice here I've created an example component. So you call it as React.class, and there is a render function, and then all I'm doing is I'm rendering a message, right? So every second when it is called, I'm rendering a message. So how do I use it, right? So all you need to do is you just need to call the React DOM.render and pass in basically some bunch of properties, and then that's it. Now let me go ahead and then run this. So my web server is running at 8080. So I'm going to say localhost colon 8080, and here is the examples folder, and here is a basic example. So notice here my seconds are all running now. I don't know how is the GoToMeeting showcasing that, but the seconds are all running. It says React has been successfully running for 14 seconds, 15 seconds, all those things. So what you're seeing there is actually a React component, and then I can use this React component wherever I need. All I need to do is just call this render method and then do it. So now there are other ways of using this. So let's take a look at something called as JSX, meaning it's a XML way of using the React, right? So you can take a look at here. What I've done is I'm calling example.js. There is React.js, React DOM, and then we will be putting this into the paragraph. So let's take a look at the component that we have done. So if you see here, it is just returning a paragraph and then a message, right? And then how did I use it? There we go. I said example application elapsed new date get time.start, and then that's it. So this is now a reusable component. Wherever I need it, I can use this component. So I'm building components. So that's why React is very popular, because you can break up your whole UI into small components which are reusable, and then you can just keep bringing in these components wherever you need. Typical example is headers and footers, right? You can create a header component, you can put a footer component, create a layout, and then say, hey layout, you make use of header component, you make use of footer component, and then all the other pages just come in between, right? So this is a simplest example. Now you may be asking, okay, this is fine, but how do you handle all the events, all those things up? So now let's take a look at here. So notice here I've created a counter component. It says React.create class counter. Every component has this concept of initial state. So I've created an initial state called counter or a count, and then it is set to 0. In React, there is no two-way data binding. What you do is React follows a concept of universal data flow, meaning it flows from top to bottom. That's it. Anytime this state changes, React is smart enough to rebuild only that portion of the UI where this particular state was used, and then that's why React uses this virtual DOM, and then it can detect which portion of the DOM is changed and then repaint only that portion of the DOM. So what I'm doing here is I've created a counter component. That counter component has a button has an on click, and then I'm saying whenever the button is clicked, I want you to execute this function, which is handle click. Inside a handle click, all I'm doing is I'm resetting the state. What is the state? The initial state was count 0, But if you click a button, I'm going to pick up that state and then increase 1 to that. That's it. Now the state of count changed from 0 to 1. The moment React sees that there is a state change on this component, it will render only this component, which is counter. So let's go ahead and then quickly take a look at the example of click counter. Notice here when I click, the button is changing with says click me number of clicks 22, click me number of clicks 23. So like that, right? So this is how you start creating components with React. So as I said, I don't have time to go deep. We already done an exclusive webinar on that. Go take a look at that. So, but I hope you get the context here. What is AngularJS 2 and then what is React.js? Now let's quickly take a look at Kendo UI. So what is Kendo UI? Well, Kendo UI is again a JavaScript framework. We provide web components, or sorry, web controls like grid, scheduler, or autocomplete, button, you name it. So any component that you need for web, as well as we also provide data visualization components or controls, and we also provide a full-fledged mobile framework. Using this mobile framework, you can create mobile web pages, or you can create hybrid mobile applications, right? So we have close to 70 plus controls, as you can see here. Kendo UI components and frameworks. Most popular are charts, grid, those kind of stuff. But take a look at the number of components that we provide, starting from data management, which includes grid, list view, pivot grid, spreadsheet, to whatnot. We give you a lot of components. If you're looking for HTML5 based client-side UI framework, you may want to take a look at Kendo UI. I've been programming with Kendo UI for last 5 years, and then I absolutely love it because it is following open standard. It is HTML5, it's vanilla JavaScript. Even if you are in AngularJS or React.js, you will be able to use Kendo UI controls in the front end. So that's what this whole webinar is all about. So we're going to be looking at how to use Kendo UI in these two frameworks. So just to give you a glimpse of what Kendo UI can do for you, let me go to demos.telerik.com/kendo-ui. So as you can see here, I'm currently in a web page, demos.telerik.com/kendo UI. Let me take a simplest of our component, which is a date picker. Like, typically every project will need a date picker, right? Which project doesn't need a date picker? You're creating, let's say, a data entry screen, and then you have an age, date of birth field. Well, you better have a date picker. So when I click on it, notice here, I just clicked on the calendar icon that's there on the right hand side, and voila, we get a beautiful calendar coming up, right? Date picker coming up. This component is Kendo UI date picker. Not only that, we have like that a bunch of things. Let me quickly show you our very popular component that's called as grid. And here is the grid, and it looks fantastic. We support like 15 or 12 themes out of the box. So this is a theme called as Nova, but if you don't like the theme, what you can do is you can always go and then check material theme. Maybe you like material, right? So we ship material out of the box. So let me go ahead and then do this, and there you go. So this is the material look and feel, right? So this is what Kendo UI is all about. It gives you close to 70 plus controls that you can use in your web application. You can use it in plain vanilla JavaScript. You can use it in AngularJS 1.x framework, all those things. So this is about Kendo UI. If you need more information, always you can write back to me, and then I'll be able to give you more information on that. Now, let's talk about integration, right? So that's why we are here. So Kendo UI plus AngularJS 2 or Angular 2. Unfortunately, at this moment when I'm talking or when I'm presenting this webinar, we still don't have a full-fledged support for AngularJS 2. But having said that, my engineering team, my product team is hard at work. They understand how popular AngularJS 2 is getting. So we'll be soon coming out with a blog post, or we'll soon be coming out with a message where we will say what date and then what time frame we will come out with our Angular JS2 integration. But at this moment, we do not have anything. We thought we will be ready. We decided on this webinar title like a couple of months ago with thinking like, June we will be ready, but as you know, any software project, we work on a very volatile conditions, and then some other priorities take high prioritization. So but we have our team working completely on this, and soon we will come out with a information as to what date or what time frame from now onwards you will be able to lay your hands on this Angular JS2 and then Kendo UI integration. So we will be coming out with Kendo UI components for Angular JS2. You will be able to just go in and then say Kendo hyphen grid or Kendo hyphen autocomplete, or like that. We will see how it's gonna be, but we at this moment extremely sorry, we cannot showcase anything on Kendo UI plus Angular 2. We will come back as soon as we are ready. I will create a 1 hour specific webinar dedicated completely to Kendo UI and Angular 2. Moving on, we will take a look at Kendo UI plus React JS though. Right now, our team has been at work on this, and we currently have close to 6 of our widgets that we can showcase basically how to use Kendo UI as a React component within React, right? So that's what we're going to be looking at. Currently what we have is Kendo UI for React component. It's a preview that we have. Notice this is not even a beta, this is just a preview. We look forward to you playing around with it. If you have some suggestion, feedback, we will be able to kind of look forward to that. And you can actually tell us what's right, what is working for you with our preview, what is not, what you don't like, and then play around with it and then come back to us. So what is Kendo UI React components? Well, it's a jQuery-free React component. Why? Because we wanted to rewrite. So Kendo UI React component is completely rewritten from scratch. It is not the Kendo UI JavaScript library that we have, and then we did not retrofit it to work on React. Rather, the React way of rendering components is completely different. It has a concept called as virtual DOM, so we had to make use of that. So what we did was we said, okay, let's rewrite it. So with the Kendo UI for React will be a completely different package. You will be able to just take that and then start working with React. So it's a jQuery-free React component. It utilizes the React virtual DOM and then universal data flow. As of now, from the preview perspective, what we have is we have button group, slider, draggable, DropDown, AutoComplete, Dialog, TabStrip, and Panelbar, right? So basically in this demo, what I'm going to do is I don't have anything built out of the box, so I will start from scratch and then start showing you how do you work with React plus how do you work with Kendo UI React component. So let's get started with that. So it's going to be a demo now. No, okay, not the last slide, sorry about that. So I just jumped ahead. No, it's going to be a demo. Let's sit here and then we're going to go start looking at how do you work with this. So let me close my server here, and then I'm going to go back. Okay, I'm going to be in the React. And what I figured out was recently one of my colleagues, he brought to our notice a fantastic command line interface tool called as NWB. So here it is, it's called as NWB. I have no clue what that stands for, but this is a CLI tool for React apps or components and NPM modules. This is a fantastic CLI tool if you ever wanted to get started with React. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. I've already installed NWB on my machine, on my laptop. So if you go through the NWB, what it says is, this is how you install. You just say npm install -g NWB, meaning install it globally. Then if you want to get started, all you need to do is you just have to say this, NWB new React app, and then that's it, give it a name, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say NWB. What did it say? It said new React app, and let's say React Kendo demo app, right? So I'm going to just say that. Oh, notice that it's been able to scaffold quickly a couple of stuff. So now what it is doing is it's installing all the dependencies that I need for React. So that's why I went with this NWB, because the moment I just said NWB new React app, give it a name, it sets everything for me. I do not have to worry about anything, right? So let's go to React Kendo app folder, and I'm going to say code dot. So that means I'm opening up my Visual Studio Code. Let me close out all the other, and there you go. Let me bring it my zoomer. So notice here, this is what it has done. It has created a public folder. It has brought in a couple of node modules. There is a SRC folder. There is a test if you want to write it, and it has created an package.json. So let's take a look at what package.json contains, and let me zoom out for you. And this is what it contains. It has written fantastically all the scripts that I require. I can do nwb build react app, or I can do nwb clean, or I can do nwb start. What it will do is it will do this serve react app, or I can do testing. And then what do I depend on? Well, for React app, I depend on React and React DOM, right? And then dev dependency is the nwb, of course. And let me show you the src folder. And in the src folder, there's an index.js. So here it has said import React, import render, import app from dots app, and then it says render app inside this particular document.querySelector/app. So where is that app? Where here it is. So I can just say loading, I believe. And now I can just go in and then look at what does the app.js application component contains, right? It's a simple React component. What does it contain? It says export default React.create class, render div h2 welcome to React. That is all it contains, right? So looking at the package.json, I can do npm start. So I will say npm start. What this will do now is it starts the React application. So it's preparing a web server now, and there we go. So now we have our React application running on localhost colon 3000, right? It's doing the webpack building. So the webpack building is done. So now I can go back to a browser, and then I can say localhost colon 3000, right? So there you go. So I'm going to dock this to the right, because what it does is the moment it detects that there is a change, React Kendo UI webinar, and you saw on the right hand side I did not have to refresh the page. It was able to just get the refreshed page, welcome to React Kendo UI webinar. So now what we have done is we have just created a simple React application. You can always go in and then create one more. I can do like export default, or I can say export class, or let's do this. I'll come back to that. So I can create a new component here. Let's say I'm going to create a new hello world.js file. But here what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the same code. But here what I'm going to do is export default React create class, and I want to do hello, and then let's say this dot props dot name, right? So that's what this is all about. I'm going to go to app.js. I will say import star as hello, or we'll say hello world component from hello world. So I now reuse that component, and I can come back here, and then I can say and I can pass in name is equal to maybe Lohit. I think I made a mistake somewhere. src hello world. Oh, my bad. Spelling mistake here. And we're not getting it. So what happened? Yeah, run hello this props.name, import stars hello world component, or let's try doing this. Yeah, there we go. So now we got it. So this is as simple as it can get. In React.js, everything is a component. I can now go in and then use this hello world component wherever I want, right? For example, yeah, that's okay. I hope you get the point. So I can come in here and then I can do anything now. So I can say, you know, this on the right hand side, you will see hello Aditya. So well, now let's say I want to change something on here, right? Okay, I can do this here. I can come back here and then they, like, you know, of course this is not what you want to do, but just to showcase, you know, quickly. So I will say color is maybe red, font weight or font size, let's say for some reason you wanted this to be in 50 px. What happened? Style color red, font size 50 px. Looks like okay. Let's do this a div. Looks like this guy is not refreshing. Yeah, it's completely built. Let's wait for it. Huh, not sure what is happening, but yeah, now you get the point. Like, you know, basically this is a reusable component. I can bring in anytime, anywhere. I can use this any place. Let me try to restart my server. I'm not sure what happened. npm start. Okay, so it's building it now again, and it has completely built it. So let me refresh the, and now as you can see I removed the h2, so now you get just the hello Aditya. But the point I'm trying to make is now this hello world component becomes a reusable component wherever you want to show, let's say hello, you can just call this guy, you know, and then pass in whatever you want. And notice here I'm using this dot props. You can create a state, you know, whatever you want, you will be able to create everything. So now the fun part, let's take a look at how to bring in Kendo UI into this, right? So we're already at the 45-minute mark, so let's quickly do that. So if you go to github.com and say Telerik, or you can go to npmjs.com and search for the Telerik. Yeah. So if you see here, it says @Telerik Kendo React input. So these are all now available as a single yeah, there we go. So if you do tilde Telerik in npmjs.com, you will be able to see this. We are slowly coming up with Angular. If you see here, we still don't have the components, but yeah, our team is working towards the base componenting and all those things. But where is the React side of the things? Well, here it is. So these are all the React packages that you see. Kendo-React animation, Kendo-React buttons, Kendo-React component, React dialog, React drop-downs, React inputs, React layout, in all those things. Notice here now currently it's at @Telerik / a particular package. That's how you got to use it now. And this is how it's pretty much going to be. So now let's say I want to make use of buttons. Let's take a look at um, the button component, right? So Kendo React button. So this is how you use it. You can create a button container, extends react.component, and then you can come in here and then say like, hey, yeah, uh, get the button container, and then start using it. Or you can use Kendo React buttons and then start using it. And here is where it says how to use it. Notice it says npm install -- save @ Telerik Kendo React button. So let's do that. So I'm going to stop the in NWB there is another fantastic feature. What is it? That you do not have to do an npm from the command line. I can do this also, wherein for example in app.js, let's say I say import star as React Kendo buttons from, I can do this @ Telerik / Kendo React buttons. So the moment I now save this file, NWB will be able to go to the npm.js directory, get this particular module onto your system without you doing a manual thing. But I'm used to this, so that's why I'm doing it. So I'm going to do npm install save and then @ Telerik Kendo React buttons, right? So I'm going to just do this and then get it into my project. What happened? Npm install, yeah. Npm install @ Telerik -- save. Let me give you a second. I'm not sure what is happening. Key val npm command, yeah, npm install npm install, and all we need to do is -- save, and I just have to say, or let me try this, Kendo - React buttons. Huh. And is there, find a file. What is happening? Okay, now it's working. Not sure what I had mistyped. So as you can see here, I just said npm install -- save @ Telerik / Kendo - React button. So what it is doing now is it's going to our npm JS registry called Kendo - React buttons, and it is bringing down every code. I mean, it's bringing down our component. So if I go to my project file and then my project and then look at the dependencies, notice here, since I gave the -- save switch, it is able to put the Telerik / Kendo React buttons is now a dependency for the project. And then what it has done is, if I take a look at the bin node modules, let me show it to you. So notice here I have @ Telerik, and then it has brought Kendo React buttons and then Kendo theme default, right? So in the Kendo React buttons, this is how we have. Now how do you use it? Is as simple as going into app.js, and I can come in and then say like, yeah, so this line that I had already typed, import star as React Kendo button, or I'll say buttons, and this one. So let's go back to what we say. We say import star as Kendo React buttons from Kendo React buttons. So that's what I have done. Oh, it's Kendo React buttons. Right, and then now I save it, and then how do you use it, right? So if you take a look at here, it says where was the code? So yeah, I can now come in here and then use any of these way, right? I can say Kendo React buttons dot button, and I can just do this. So let me save this, and I need to start my server. I'll say npm start. So it's now doing a building, the Webpack building, and it is built. So I can go back to here, refresh it. Looks like it is cached. So my Edge has been caching this for quite some time. So let me go back to Firefox, and I'm going to hope that Firefox does not cache my pages. Well, now you can see here, I'm seeing hello. I mean, let me see if we do a hot reload. Okay, now if I do the hot reload here, it's coming up here also. So whatever. So if you see here, there is a button 1 coming up, but it doesn't look like a button at all, right? Well, my expectation is, oh, I placed a Kendo UI button, so I should see the Kendo UI button, but it's not coming. That's because what has happened is it doesn't have the style sheets loaded yet. So what I can do is, this is one of the coolest things about this NWB. NWB allows me to import a style sheet directly here. So I can say, hey, in the Telerik Kendo React buttons, there is a folder called as distribution, and it has npm, it has css, and it has main.css. So get that particular CSS loaded when I save, or when you run. So now when I do a hot reload, and we have the Kendo button coming up. I think it's still not yet catched up on your screens. I think yeah, there we go. So now you should see that, I have a button now, right? I have the button. So let's say we give some styling to this guy, and we will say like left, or we'll do an align center. Nope, it should work. Okay, I'm gonna just do a text align colon center. I'm just trying to center it so that everybody can see it clearly. What happened now? It has finished building. So let me see here. Oh, I think I have a problem. Or no, it came, but it's not centered it, so that's okay. Let me resize this window. Looks like my hot reloading is taking a lot of time. Okay, let me restart. I'm not sure if the NWB is having some problems, so I'm going to show npm start. Its Webpack is building. Once it finishes building, what I can do is I can go refresh the page again. Okay, it's done, so let me refresh the page. Let me check the console if there's any error. Is there any error? Oh, yeah, I know. You cannot directly apply the style. Sorry about that. So I got confused between different things. Yeah, so in React.js, the way you provide styling is slightly different. You just don't put a style tag. So now, as you can see here, I have the button, right? So let's go back to the so here we don't have much of explanation as to what you can do with the button itself. So what you can do is you can go into our GitHub repo. So in the GitHub repo, we have complete documentation on the button itself. So for example, let me start showing you this. So button, I'm basing every of this particular demo using one component, but others are all similar. So I'm doing it as along you guys are watching it, because I want you to know, if you are trying to build this, yeah, this is how you can follow along and then do it, right? So if I see here, if I go to our documentation, it says this is how you default set it up. Notice here, so I have created a bare bone button, right? So I'll let me go ahead and then do this. I will say this is a normal button, and I'm going to put a BR here, and let's see what we get. We should get 2 BR. So there we go. We have 2 normal buttons coming up now, and I'm going to just do one more BR. Then I can save it, and then there you go. So I have the 2 buttons coming up now. So let me dock it here, and we go back here. Then what else we have, right? I can enable and disable it, right? How do you do an enable disable? Well, just say disabled. So now if I come back here and do a disabled for the second one, all I need to do is I just have to say disabled, and that's it. On the so there you go. On the right hand side, you will see that the normal button, I can go ahead and click it, but notice here the normal button is the second one. Let me call it as disabled button. So now you got a disabled button for us, right? And then set primary button. So how do you create a primary? So the difference between a normal button and a primary is primary has a different color combination for the button. So what I can do is I can go here and then I can say like, this is primary. And if you see this, and there we go, we got the primary button now, right? So what else we have? We can add an icon. For icon, what I would need to do is I will need to include font awesome. So what I will do is I will go to my index.html and include this font awesome link. Okay, now I have the font awesome. Now what I can do is I can come in here and then give icon for a button. So let's say we want to create a refresh button. Let's assume we want to create a refresh button, right? So I can say here in the app.component, let me go ahead and then put my refresh button, right? So all I've done is I've added a Kendo React buttons.button icon is equal to refresh, and then this is a refresh button. And notice here I have the refresh icon coming up now. So what I'm showcasing here is all the possible things that we can do here. So let's assume you want to get an image, right? Let's assume you have an image somewhere hosted and then you want to get the image. So what you can do is you can come in here and then create the image. So if you see here, we have hosted an image at our demos URL. So I'm saying snowboarding. So let me save it. And we have a snowboarding image coming up here. Notice here, this is the snowboarding image. So you saw me loading it from an icon. You saw me loading it from an image. And then you can actually create a style sheet and then use that. If you see here, icon class is FA. So this is another interesting thing. So Font Awesome provides you certain class CSS classes which you can use to create to get an icon on your element. So I can now come in and then just directly say like, hey, I want to use this particular icon called, right? I have just said icon class FA, FA key, FA, FAW. This has not loaded, so let me do a hard reload. And there we go. So this is the icon of a key, right? So that's what we support. And then what else we support? We support toggling, right? Meaning it will be in a pressed state when you click on it. It will be in a depressed state when you click on it again, right? So it's like a toggle that you can do. So I can come back here and then say like, just a toggleable is what we have. Notice here, now I've clicked on the button. So because I've clicked on the button, it's in a toggle state now, or it's in a press state. I can click on it, now it comes back to a state where it is in a depressed state. So I can click on that, so notice that it's gone. So what else we have? We can handle the events, right? So for example, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to create like get initial state, right? And then this is a function, and yeah, so it needs a comma. So here I can just do return, and I will say whatever we have done here. So we have something called as disabled is equal to false, right? And I can come back here and then write a on click handler, and I can say this dot set state, and what do? You say maybe disabled colon this dot state dot disabled. Just toggle it, or let's see what they're doing. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. So I can, oh, don't want this. I can just do like, this dot set state, whatever state I had called disabled. Well, I want you to toggle that, right? So now what I can do is I can come back here and I can do this. So let me create a two breaks. So what I'm doing is I have one button. What it does is it handles on click. So now I have a on click handler, and then button 1, and then in the button 2 I'm actually tying together the disabled property with this state disabled, right? So let's see if I have done everything right. Up. Unable to create property disabled of undefined or null. Why? What happened? Get initial state, return, disable on click lender. Okay, let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to paste this button container here as is. Export class button container on click. Okay, it doesn't understand. And what I can do is I can bring in now button container here. So I can say button container, right? So let's see if this is fine. Now it's throwing an error. So I got to figure out what error is this. Yeah, so I know what this is. So I need to go to again NWB, and there's one particular configuration that I need to do with NWB, because what NWB is doing is it is taking the heavy lifting of converting all this ES6 code, all those things. So now there's a very specific setting that I need to do, that is it is using Babel transcript or Babel translator or transpiler. So I need to tell NWB and I need to tell especially the Babel that, hey, you know what, uh, I'm using latest and greatest experimental features, so I want you to please be careful with that. So let's say I stop this, and then now when I go back here to my page, you will see it won't. Okay, let's check what is happening. npm start. And it's building. Okay, now we have got everything built. And where was our page? Oh, I think. and I still don't see this guy coming in. Oh, I need to do import button. No, I don't need to, it's already there. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna create a new file. I will say button container.js, and here I'm gonna add this guy, export class, or we'll say, yeah. And now here in the app.js, I'm gonna say import button container from, well, this is from here, right? And then in the bottom, what I can do is I can always come back here and then say, yeah, I need to use this guy. So let's see if this is building. Yeah, it's built. Looks like I have a problem. Let me reload. Well, let's go ahead. I think I missed one of my script steps. Like one step I might have goofed up on a particular step. I don't know what is happening, so we'll come back. Yeah, React is undefined. Got it. So in the button container, yeah, it doesn't know what a React is. So all I need to do is I need to say import. So let's go back to app.js, and we're gonna get React, and oh, I need a couple of more things. So I'm gonna just go here. So I don't need the hello world component. I need the Kendo React button. I need the style sheet. So I'm going to save this. So now it's building again. It's built. So let's do a refresh. Okay. I'll come back to that. I need to figure out where I went wrong. Create element. So this is extends react.component and app.js. I just said get this guy. Yeah, it is there. Check the random method of app. Element type is invalid. Expected a string or a class of function but got undefined. Yeah, I'll come back to that. I think looks like I messed up something. So, but we have already spent like 1 hour for this one. But what I was trying to do was showcase you what are the different things you can do here. So you can do with button group. So this is basically a button group, and then you can set the indexes. So tab index is set like this. You can do a tab index. You can do the keyboard navigation. Not only that, if you just go into Telerik, or if you look at all our other things, so it's very minimal as of now. That is the components that we have. For example, we have a dialog component, we have the drop-down component, and if you take a look at our React layout component, so we have the panel bar, and then we have the TabStrip component. And notice here we have the TabStrip component. You can create a tab strip like this. You can put a tab and then start using it, right? So again, in order to use any of these components, you got to follow what I did. That is, you got to first install it. So here how it is. So you need a particular component. Yeah, well, you just get that component. So if you see here npm install Telerik Kendo React layout, and then I want to use TabStrip. So I have to say import TabStrip from Kendo React layout. So that is how pretty much you use, or this is the integration that we have with Kendo. As of now, as I showed in the slide deck, we have this many preview available as of now: button group, slider, draggable, drop-down, autocomplete, dialog, TabStrip, and panelbar. We will be coming up with many more Kendo UI components added up to the React world. So keep a track of our blog posts, our releases that we do, and then that's when we go out and then put our roadmap, put our release note saying like, yeah, this is coming in so and so release, or in this current release we have enabled this many components. So currently the Kendo UI plus React, you have this many components available. You can always go play around. If you have any feedback, any suggestion, please write back to us. We will be eager to listen to you, take your what suggestions you have, what feedback you have, and then so that we shape the product better. So that's all I had to showcase today in this webinar. We have already crossed 1 hour mark. We are actually at the 1 hour 10 minutes mark. So thank you very much for staying with us today. This is my email ID, lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com. If you have any questions, you can always write back to me and I'll be glad to help you out. I'm going to stop the recording now and then get on to the Q&A. So thank you very much for being with us today, and we hope you will be coming into our future webinars also. Thank you.